My name is Seren Metcalf. I am one of the directors and the founder of the Working Class Creatives Database. I am originally from York, but I'm currently living in London, and I have been since 2016 when I started a degree at the Slade School of Art. I finished the degree in 2020, and during that year I also founded the database. I founded it because I was one of the few working class creatives that I knew studying on the whole course. And I was one of the few people with a regional accent, and I was one of the few who was the first in my family to go to university. I felt there wasn't just differences financially but culturally as well. That was a big thing for me, and I wanted to just find a community of creatives who were in a similar position. I feel like in the art world or in creative industries there's a lot of nepotism, there's a lot of who you know, and I felt like I'd made this realisation that university was about building these connections, and there's plenty of creatives who haven't been to university or plenty of creatives who don't already have these connections, and I really wanted to create a platform where working class creatives could connect with each other, could relate to each other, and a platform that also highlighted their work and highlighted them as artists and highlighted their voices. As the database was growing, it was a lot harder to manage myself, so we had a core group of people who volunteered their time. They were members from the beginning and helped with different areas of the database, such as creating a newsletter, helping with the residency space that we have, and Chanel has been a big part of that. And we've both now got to a stage where we predominantly run the database. So it's 100% volunteer run, and I think our main aims for 2023, we've applied for Arts Council funding, so we're hoping that will go through so we can be paid for what we're doing and be able to provide a lot more for our members. Everything I think that we're doing now is quite whatever we can do in our spare time. It's just catching up when we can. It would be amazing for us to be able to have funding to be able to help and create a community for as many people as possible.
Seren and I first met, I think it was in 2019, and Seren was looking for working class performers to help out on like a video piece. So I went and we met there. I think we might have just like followed each other on socials or something, I can't quite remember, but I remember inviting her to basically join something that I was working on with Tommy Sissons, and that was to basically share working class creatives' work. And then I figured similar thing was happening, so I was just a bit like, right, let's join forces. I'll help you out. Let's do this. And then the database like rapidly grew the more passion we put into it. I think we have like over 600 members now around the region, which is really good. We've done like multiple exhibitions and talks. Through generations, the term working class has been notoriously hard to define as a characteristic, and working classness is massively intersectional through race, disability, gender, identity. I believe it's important for art to reflect the change in current state in political affairs, and I believe art can facilitate change through encouraging, inspiring, and breaking down sort of stigmas. I believe it's not art's responsibility to pick up where the government fail, but I do believe art in all of its many forms can create community cohesion if it's accessible enough. I think it's important that people feel represented and they feel heard. I think it's important for a history that's forever adapting to be reflected within art. I've always been interested in art, I've always been interested in understanding, but I've never really known why until now, and it's like I'm interested in understanding so I can make sense of who I'm around and why I'm around. Specifically in uni, I needed to make sense of my social class because my middle class and upper class peers were so much different to me. My work developed from exploring personal narrative to exploring my childhood, my family's narrative, my family histories, and that sort of breaking down of working class stigmas and the understanding of socio-economic indifference. Thinking back to my first realisation of being indifferent to my peers was probably at the school disco, when everyone knew the dance moves to like Macarena. And because I'd never been on like an all-inclusive, or I didn't sort of like go to Butlins a lot or Centre Parks or whatever, I just didn't know the dance moves. Realising I'd never been on holiday, I guess like going to my friend's house for tea, and then they'd have like a formality of like sitting around the table and eating, or it's like we'd sit on the sofa. And then also sort of like being older for my age as well. So because I started working when I was 12, so having grown up and matured quickly, or quicker than my peers, and going to uni and thinking, why is everyone in first year doing what I did when I was like 14? But I realised like you have to grow up quickly because you need to work, you need to earn money. And also like the trauma that working class histories often bring, you know, growing up on an estate which is poverty ridden. You see a lot go on, so it's sort of like you have to learn to grow up quickly, I guess. There's also a recent study come out this year which explained how just 16% of people in creative jobs are from working class backgrounds. And that is not shocking, but upsetting, knowing that so many people are sort of studying degrees and then they don't have the networks or the connections to continue it in a sort of sustainable fashion.
For me, it always felt like art was a massive risk because it's not necessarily financially secure, and I think it's a lot easier for people who have that financial backing to do something like this. And I think it's important to highlight that the database isn't just for people who've been to university, it's for artists of all types. For us, it's so important to have these cross-discipline, cross-experience conversations, and it builds a full picture of what a working class creative is. I think this exhibition in Hull is so important for us. It's a mark of 2023, our first exhibition. We really wanted to create a show together, and we really wanted to showcase the artists that we have, and it was also important for it to be in Hull. It's somewhere that Chanel's from, and it's somewhere that where I grew up as close to. It's almost our northern base. I really think that the most meaningful art and the most meaningful things that are coming out creatively are from working class creatives. I think they feel the most real and truthful. What's being created feels just very genuine, and I think art is supposed to represent a time, a place in time, and how can it represent a place in time when not everyone is represented? It's so important for me personally to make sure that everyone is represented and our voices are getting heard.
To sign up as a member of the database is free, and you get a profile on our website which is frequented by researchers, galleries, so you can be employed or represented or just contacted in general. You'll also get a resource pack full of like recommendations or opportunities, and you'll get a link to our WhatsApp group chat where you can connect with other working class creatives.
The WhatsApp group is incredibly important because it's a space that people use daily, and just to, I think, talk about things that people need to get off their chest, and it's a community where people can relate to each other and also to share opportunities with each other, to create a space where things can be organised, such as meetups. You will also have access to our list of supporters. These supporters are on our website, and anyone can join to be a supporter. Supporters can offer any skills that you have to our members for free. So we have people who can go over work, so can proofread. We have people who can help with funding applications, people who can help general advice for being a creative. There's any skills you have that you think you can offer for free and you think that would be helpful, then you can sign up to be a supporter.
I joined Working Class Creatives because I believe in the values, and I believe that it's important to be networked and to get inspiration and to support other creatives. I think it's important for working class voices to exist, especially working class Black people and people from ethnic minorities and people of colour, because I think the margins makes the art and the centre, often promotes it, profits from it, etc. So it's important to make our own stand and to kind of advocate for ourselves and people and working at the intersections of class, race, gender, sexuality, etc., etc.
I joined the Working Class Creatives database because my working class identity is something that I explore within my practice, as well as other people's working class identity. It's also something that I don't see very much space for in professional arts world or artistic settings. And secondly, I joined so that I could meet other working class creatives. I haven't met many during my formal education or the wider art community that I'm a part of now, so I feel it's really important to connect with people who have had a similar background to me. I think it's important for the database to exist because there isn't very much out there like this, and they're doing a brilliant job of making space for working class artists.
I'm a photographer, visual artist, and I am also a full service sex worker. A lot of my photography work is documentary and is based a lot around my job. I'm working on several documentary projects at the minute. One of them is taking photos of my clients after sessions, documenting the kind of mundaneness and how unglamorous it is, how normal it is. I think joining the Working Class Creative Database was really pivotal actually in pushing myself forward and having like a community of people that I could just be on the same level with, and knowing that I'm not alone and I'm not alone struggling to kind of like work as a photographer or be seen as an artist or be taken seriously. And I was really lucky to be able to get one of the residencies at SET in Woolwich. I had a studio for 3 months, which was just a godsend.
I think particularly in the field of sort of fine art, it's very much a world of where the middle classness dominates. Middle class and upper classness dominate. So you find yourself as a working class artist in this sort of sea where the dominant culture is not something that you really feel like you belong to. So for me, that's really, really important to know that there are other working class artists out there who acknowledge that, that class experience within the culture of the art world, and how we survive in that and how we support each other in that.